Hey guys, Saf coming at you with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the new anniversary path that has just gone live today, and it contains some interesting rewards, but we also have, unfortunately, some drama around the implementation, which we obviously need to cover at the start. Just before I go into it, right now there is a ×3 Dragon for speed on right now, so you're going to get ×3 the odds to get speed gear from Dragon. If you're in a position like my free-to-players where you're reasonably early game, mid-game, and you're looking to get gear, it is one of the best events. Speed is normally your main priority in the mid-game to get yourself rolling, so right now you should probably be looking to run Dragon as much as you can for the next 24 hours. You can see right now my free-to-play is running that at the moment. It's not the fastest time. I can run Dragon 20, it's pretty good, but I could do it better. So Artak is currently carrying it. It's a bit of a shame because he hasn't got masteries yet, but we've got to prioritize the events when they come up. So of course, what are we talking about? We are talking about the anniversary event that has started today. They're celebrating Plarium's 14th birthday. This is not Raid's anniversary, but Plarium, the developers themselves. They've done some pretty cool things around the Bannerlord tournament where you have to vote in a poll and everything. And we now have this anniversary event where you're going to have to do a typical hero's path. And the two events you're going to have to do it on is upgrading artifacts, so artifact enhancement, and dungeon divers. Now, whenever we get these hero paths, normally one of the two options is by far the better option to do. So when it's summons and dungeon divers, normally you need to summon the shards. Champion training is champion training, not the dungeon divers. And in this instance, artifact enhancement is the main focus. So let's see, how many speed gear do we get here on a ×3? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is not bad. It's probably not the ×3 average, but we'll take it. Really, we're just looking here for speed gear that's great. You know, we are 5-starring a little bit, but anything like a 6-star speed would be great. And any extra bonuses, my account could benefit from any gear. Like, this is great if that's overall speed. Any gear right now is really worth. So, of course, the one I'm talking about here is this Hero's Path. You can see I've run 18 stage 20, and I've only acquired myself 536. I can get myself 5 brews. Not great. So upgrading artifacts and get artifacts. So let's just talk about the drama first. You've probably seen other content creators cover it by now. But I've got one point that I really want to raise that I don't think I've seen many other content creators talk about. So what happened? Basically, they launched the Hero's Path this morning, and there was a line essentially going straight down the middle. So effectively, you could claim the 5,000 for the Void Shard and then the 30,000 for the Tier 3 Eternal Soul Stone. That makes a Tier 3 Eternal Soul Stone 35,000 points. I even dropped a message in our private Discord in the company where I was like, oh, this is really good, guys. Like, 35,000 for a Tier 3 stone is one of the best I've ever seen on a Hero's Path. Well, that lasted for about 20 minutes. And then they got rid of that Hero's Path and they started a new Hero's Path, and the line has gone. Now, if you have tokens left over on a Hero's Path, and the Hero's Path is removed, they convert remaining tokens, remaining points here into silver, and that goes into your mailbox, which you then claim. Normally, the exchange rate is okay, it's nothing special, but it's good. Now, because this is an artifact enhancement plus divers, the quickest way to earn points, the best way to earn points, is upgrading gear. So players would have spent silver to upgrade their gear, would have got their points, and before they could actually spend those points, they lost all the points, and it got translated back into silver, probably at a much lower rate than the silver they spent. Now, to be fair to Plarium, they've come out and they've acknowledged that that has happened, and they're going to provide compensation to those players. I'm not entirely sure what compensation, but they need to make sure whatever silver was spent by those players is reimbursed, because clearly it was a mistake. The path was bugged, it wasn't the correct path, and players shouldn't lose out because Plarium made a mistake. So I don't know how they're going to do it, but it needs to ensure that at least they get the same amount of silver back so they're not at a negative loss. I don't think you need to compensate them with a profit. You just need to make sure whatever they invested, they get back. That's the first thing. The main thing that I actually want to cover is some endgame players sit on thousands and thousands of silver. We're talking, some of them have 500 million, some even have like 1 billion silver. I don't know if that's still the case, but I know some of them did. So being able to get this, being able to essentially get 35,000 points is not that difficult. We'll have a look at the math in the math section of this video where we analyze the efficiency of this path. But essentially, you're talking probably like 50 mil silver. So they could easily, within the time that this was active, burn their silver to upgrade artifacts to get enough points to claim an Eternal Soul Stone. Now, I'm pretty sure you could claim the rewards. So if they were able to claim that, and then the Hero's Path was returned, then are they now able to essentially get 2 Tier 3 Eternal Soul Stones? That's my question to Plarium. Were players able to claim one of these stones and then you removed the path, you ended the event, and then you started a new one? Because that's essentially, I think, what they did. Whenever we end these hero paths, we get the points back. So I think they literally just terminated the event as quickly as possible. It automatically rewarded players with silver, and then they started a new event. Well, that means if players were quick enough, they were able to claim a stone. Now, I don't think it's necessarily an endemic problem. I don't think many players would have done it, but it still gives a reward to players that most people can't acquire. Not that most people may have the silver to do it, but it's still a question I want answered to some extent. Were players able to claim 2 stones? If they were, what are we going to do about it? Because that feels a bit unfair if some players were able to get 2 of these stones and other players have not been able to because the error. So those are the 2 drama points. This video isn't really about drama. I don't really want to create another drama scene. I'm already 2 for 3 at the moment, aren't I, with the Artac and the artifact sets. Let's not make it another big thing. But I do want to know if that was avoided, because if players were able to claim 2 tier 3 soul stones, that feels a bit unfair to those who now cannot claim those tier 3 soul stones, because essentially it's just a matter of how much silver you have. So, in terms of the path itself, it is a special anniversary path. They have new avatars if you care for that. I'm looking at this particularly as 2 separate paths. We've got the left-hand side path and the right-hand side path. And then when you get over here, you basically have like a coin option, or you have a void route option. Now, I don't think the void shard is really worth all these extra coins. I think probably it's better off you just basically take the coins. Now, pretty much as long as you take the coin or the 4-star chicken here, you should be able to go either down the epic book or the barrel. It doesn't really matter. But if you want to get that void shard, you have to go either the core hammers or the gems route to be able to get to the path for that void shard. Basically the same amount of coins on either side, but there is slightly different cost changes here. I wouldn't put any value in a 5-star chaos ore. 6-star, yes. 5-star, no. 50 gems is quite low, and a 4-star chickens is, for most players, quite easily accessed. It's basically 1 3-star fed into, to make a 4-star. It's not crazy. We do get a 5-star chicken. It's probably more valuable than the barrel, because barrel is very niche usage. A 5-star chicken is always useful. And we do get 2 legendary books here. You get a key to start with, so you always get access to 1 avatar if you want to. But if you want the second avatar, you need to go get that other key. So I don't really know whether it's worth 1,500 points to get an avatar. You make that decision yourself. So that's how we're going to look at it. We're going to look at the left-hand path with coins and with void shards, the right-hand path with the resources and the coins, and then of course we have options for legendary books as a bonus. So we're going to have a look now at the math to determine how much resources are you going to need to invest to be able to get this done. So whenever I do these hero paths, I plug it into my calculator now. It's pretty standard by this point. They don't really change the points. The only time they changed the points was to add mythical points, because now we get mythical gear. But I've mapped it all out. You can see I'm doing that one with the coin, 1 with the void, 2 with the coins, 2 with the void. And basically the avatars in the middle brews are kind of bonus points. They're not really that valuable. The Eternal Soulstone is the capstone. So in total, you would need to acquire 115,700 anniversary points in order for you to complete the entire pass, which I think most players will probably not. We're going to be looking at 4 specific paths. We're going to be looking at a path to get the Eternal Soulstone, a path to get a single legendary book, a path to get both books and the Eternal Soulstone, essentially the Kraken Whale path, and then a path to get the Soulstone and the Void Shard. Now, in terms of how we calculate this, we can plug in the numbers required to get the things from artifact enhancement. So you can see we get 780 coins from taking a 6-star to level 16, 150 12. We can plug that in for 5-star as well, but we can also put the numbers against the artifact enhancement, because we're going to do a comparison of how does it compare against a typical artifact enhancement event. I've got the numbers for the average cost of silver to upgrade your main gear and jewelry from math that Senti put together quite a while ago now, probably 18 months ago, but nothing has really changed in terms of the odds. They remain the same. So this is the average cost to upgrade a piece to the different stages. Now in Dungeon Divers, of course, we now have 10 stage hard. So we need to make sure that we include the mythical gear drops here. We get 64 and 49 points. And we work out based on the average drop rate on each stage. So you can see here, I've mapped it all out. These are all the numbers from that chart that I put together that kind of shows all the different stages. And we can see on average, ignore the egg coins. This is just from when we had the egg path, when you used to collect eggs. They like changing up these coins. You get 34.6 anniversary tokens from 10 hard on a single run on average, 32.8 from the stage 25, 32.5 from stage 24, 31.2 from stage 20, and 27.5. So that kind of says, well, 10 hard gives you the best amount of coins per run. But of course, there is energy considerations to take into account. 10 hard is 20 energy, 24 is 18, 20 is 16. This does come into a factor. So when we apply the energy related to it, the average sort of anniversary tokens per energy changes this picture. Now, stage 16 is the best one to run at 1.97 coins per energy. Just behind that is stage 20 at 1.95, 24 is 1.81, 25 is 1.64, and 1.73 for 10 hard. So if you used to run stage 25 regardless, 10 hard is now going to give you more anniversary tokens, but it's still a reasonable amount below stage 20, and 16 is also the best. But we also got to consider like gear, 5-star, 6-star, and other things like that. So how does this translate in terms of the actual rewards? Well, let's just first take a look at what it's going to cost you. So as I said, we've got these 4 paths here. The Eternal Soul Stone isn't the cheapest necessarily, because I thought it was more valuable to go Bruise and the rank and rarity charms than the Avatar. You can probably save yourself like 500 coins, give or take, if you went the Avatar route. It's quite a small amount of coins, but you could save yourself a few points there. The Legendary Book is the path to get to 1 Legendary Book, but the paths are relatively identical. I've gone down the coin route because it is cheaper. I haven't gone down the middle route. I've gone down the coin routes because it's cheaper in terms of coins, and the goal is Legendary Books. If you want both Legendary Books, you double the requirement here because it is the same number of points. Then if you want both the books and the stone, this is the cost requirement, 83,400. I'm going down the coin route, and then I'm going and getting the epic and legendary tome, and then I'm just getting, I think, the 5-star chicken and the stone. You don't need to go both ways. You just need to go one, and I prefer the 5-star chicken. That's the route I would take there. And if you want the soul stone and the void, then it's 53,000 tokens. That's the way I've mapped that path. So we can map these then against the number of 12 to 16. Now you can do 0 to 16 upgrades. It will require less artifact upgrades, but it will be more silver. So for example, if we did just the legendary book, it would require you to take 32 rank 6 artifact main pieces, not jewelry, so the top section, not your accessories. It would take you 32 to upgrade that. That's going to cost you around about 57 million silver, whereas if you just did 12 to 16 upgrades, it would cost you 54. So in terms of the most efficient way, you want to do 12 to 16. It is the most efficient in terms of the least amount of silver to get you the coins you require. So let's have a look. The legendary book is 39. Now you'll notice you need the same number of pieces for accessories, but accessories is far more expensive. Do not do this with accessories. It is very expensive. You're going to almost, add 25 to 40% more silver on your cost to get the same amount of anniversary tokens. Focus on main gear. So if you want the legendary book, we're talking 54 million silver on average to get yourself the legendary book. If you want the Eternal Soul Stone, you're looking more 82 million. If you want the Kraken path, it's 147 million silver. And if you want the Soul Stone and the Void Shard, it's 93 million silver. That's why I don't really think the Void Shard is worth it, because you can essentially get an Eternal Soul Stone for less. Like you're having to it's going to cost you 13 million silver to get a Void Shard. I don't think that's worth it necessarily. Now, in terms of 5-star, you can see it's a lot more. It's a little bit cheaper to do 5-star gear, but most players, if they're in the late game, won't have much 5-star. But if you're in the early game, then it is slightly cheaper to do 5-star. But getting 53 million silver in the early to mid game is very, very hard. So keep that in mind in context. The difference between 5 and 6-star is not that big, but the difference between jewelry and accessories are big. In terms of dungeon runs, this is where I said at the start of the video, there's always one dominant way to get tokens. Dungeon Divers is always the worst one. 9 times out of 10, I don't think I've ever seen a path where Dungeon Divers is the better way to go. So if you want that legendary book, you can see stage 16 requires the most amount of runs, but it actually requires the least amount of energy because of the energy ratio. But what I would say is 20 is probably the best one to farm because you get 5 and 6-star gear instead of 4-star gear. You also only lose about 100 energy, but you save yourself about 100 runs. So your goal should be farming stage 20 if you want to do this efficiently. If you don't care about efficiency, then you probably want to go something like 24, 10 hard. You don't really want to be doing 25 anymore if you can do 10 hard, because you can see you're going to save yourself about 1,000 energy by doing hard instead of 25. And in terms of the difference between 24 and 10, it's about 800 energy as well. So it's about 1,000 difference between the three. but it will take you around about 887 runs to get that legendary book, or 944 at 24. If we're being brutally honest, Dungeon Divers is awful, because if you want an Eternal Soulstone, it's going to cost you 24,000 energy in Dungeon Divers. Now, if you're willing to commit that much to get your ×2 speed rewards, maybe you really need ×2, that's fine. But I would argue it's actually quite difficult to do 1,500 dragon runs in one day. It's quite hard to do that. I've done these ×2 events before, and I found it difficult to do 800 in like a 3-day window. So just keep that in mind. Dungeon Divers will help supplement your coins, but it is not the way you generate coins. It's all really about how much silver can you burn in order to get the rewards that you want. If you want to do the entirety of the thing, we're talking somewhere in the region of 200 million silver, or around about 60,000 energy if you want to do the entire Hero's Path. It is an expensive Hero's Path for what you get. Now let's just do a bit of a comparison here between the Dungeon Divers and sort of an artifact enhancement event. So what I've done is I've taken a typical point requirements for Dungeon Divers and artifact enhancement. We've gone 7,000, 6,500 here. I will caveat this and say that obviously the rewards you get in the Hero Path are greater or more exotic, for a better word, basically better rewards than what you would get in a Dungeon Divers or artifact enhancement typically. We've seen in the past you sometimes get a Void Shard, you'll get a tier 2 Soulstone, but I don't think a Dungeon Divers typically has a tier 3 Soulstone. They don't generally have a legendary book, and that's the same for an artifact enhancement event. We do see them on champion training side of things, but not on these diver and enhancement events. So you have to caveat that with that, but it still helps for us to see, okay, in terms of the same resource assumption, how many resources extra am I investing to complete an entire Dungeon Divers event versus one of my chosen paths. So path 2 here is the legendary book. That's the cheapest path here available. So how efficient is the artifact enhancement compared to getting that legendary book? Well, you'll spend around about 91.17% more silver doing the path versus the artifact enhancement event. On average, a 7,000 point artifact enhancement event going from 12 to 16 is about 21 pieces. It's somewhere in the region of 28 million silver if you go on the laws of average. Obviously, if you're upgrading jewelry, it's more expensive. If you're getting bad luck, it will go up a little bit. But on average, we're talking 28 million. We've already said above here, it's 54 million. So you're almost doubling your artifact enhancement cost. And it gets pretty obnoxious as you get more and more. If you want the Soulstone, it's 200% nearly. If you want all of the legendary books and the Soulstone, it's 400%. But keep in mind, you're getting 2 legendary books and a tier 3 Soulstone. You'll never get those from one single artifact enhancement event. So that there is the context. Now, in terms of Dungeon Divers, again, it's around about 84%. You're almost nearly doubling your cost for 6,500 Dungeon Divers events. We've got the points you normally get on average for Dungeon Divers from those individual stages. So you can see it's about 84 to 85%. And again, it's kind of paralleling with the artifact enhancement event. It's more expensive than those events, but the rewards are greater. So you kind of like chalk it up to that. It's whether or not you think doubling the resource investment, your resources to actually get the thing done, is worth the rewards you get out of it. You need to make that judgment call. I will make sure that this Google Sheet is in the description so you can pin it and you can access it yourself. You can have a look at the numbers and look at the math that I've done. So yeah, what is my verdict on this? Well, I gotta say I'm a little bit on the fence. I feel like this one is more expensive than, say, the champion training events. I feel like there have been better path events. The tier 3 Soulstone is rare. It's very, it's hard to acquire one of these. If you only do Iron Twins and Hydra farming, it will take you quite a while to get one of these stones, because just generally, like if we exclude the selling of your souls, you don't really earn enough coins to be able to get all the chains. Like it's like something like 200 tier 1 stones, if not crazier. So it's a lot of coins to get that tier 3. So it's worth getting. Is it worth 50 million silver or 70 million silver? I don't think right now, as we're mid-fusion, you want to be blowing all of your energy, all of your silver, trying to get something that maybe just gives you a 5-star Ripper or a 5-star Snorting Thug, which happens quite a lot. You could get a 6-star Baron. You probably won't, because that's just the nature of the beast, right? It's still a very high chance it's a 5-star Epic. It just means you won't get a 1-star Rare. So make what you will. You could argue that 50 million silver for a legendary book is not a bad trade, but then again, you can get legendary books from training events. And you also got to keep in mind there's a Deck of Fates event coming on the 1st of June, which we don't know what the different modes that are going to be. So maybe that gives you more rewards and you'd rather put your resources there. It's always hard to tell what's coming up. Certainly if you're farming Dragon for the ×2 speed, or you're farming Fire Knight for the ×3 Savage, well, you can put the extra points you get into some of these rewards and maybe work your way down to that legendary tome. But unless you commit silver, you won't be able to get this tier 3 stone. You're going to have to commit silver at quite a large amount if you really are serious about getting this stone. So let me know in the comments below, guys. What is your opinion about this path? Are you going to be going for it? If so, which path are you going to be going? What rewards are you most interested in? Do you care about these avatars? Do you feel like it's been a good idea to do this kind of theme with Bannerlords? I feel like it's a bit left-wing, but hey, I feel like they could have done a bit more with it. But it's cool that we've got some sort of thematic with it. I don't mind that. Let me know if you have been affected by this bug that happened. Were you one of the people that were able to collect that tier 3 stone? I'm really interested to know that, because I think it was possible. Hopefully we get some more clarification, but I know people who lost silver, the TLDR, Plarium will compensate you if you lost silver. It was their mistake, they should fix it. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.